This is Steve Colano, and this is Confidential Remarks. Success for many professionals means accumulating millions of views, maximizing follower counts, and being the absolute loudest voice in the room. We call this persona the operator. Their primary instinct is to become personally indispensable to every deal, argument, and conversation. High follower counts prove that people are opening your posts, but they rarely indicate a change in behavior. Passive consumption stops at the screen. It doesn't translate into active adoption. This ecosystem relies entirely on your physical presence and continuous output. The moment you stop posting, the signal fades and the audience moves on. Shifting from personal reach to systemic scale requires a different question. What ideas can I make simple enough that consumers and agents start repeating them without me? Personal credibility is a foundation made of sand. Without independent infrastructure, your influence is just temporary noise. The architect identity involves a restructuring of strategy. It moves focus away from transaction milestones and toward the design of self-sustaining systems. Architects use cultural engineering to scale their ideas, bypassing the need for exhausting long-form public arguments. This involves acting as a relentless translator. The architect takes the nuanced, complex dynamics of an industry and distills them into infectious, repeatable phrases. Phrases like exposure before exclusivity or verify everything act as behavioral commands. They are designed to install new consumer habits and embed a new standard into everyday conversation. When a consumer independently deploys these phrases in a brokerage meeting, the power dynamic reverses. They are using your language in a room where you are not present. When the industry adopts your vocabulary, your daily involvement becomes optional. The language itself does the work. Personal recommendations are fragile. If the person behind them stumbles, the trust collapses. Institutional frameworks provide a much more durable foundation for authority. The Open Access Transparency Scorecard maps listing access, pricing transparency, consumer options, conflict disclosure, and fiduciary adherence. This objective score transforms the consumer from a supplicant into an evaluator applying a standard. The data speaks for itself. Sustaining this infrastructure requires the architect to inhabit 5 specific roles, from defining philosophy to being the public voice. High-leverage architects focus on designing scalable systems and cultivating advocates who carry values into new spaces. Building these data instruments makes the argument unnecessary. The market begins to shift because the tools for evaluation are now in the hands of the consumer. Stepping into the architect role requires consciously dismantling the ego-driven need for personal validation and constant public presence. Follower counts are replaced by new metrics. You track the language adoption rate and the frequency with which your standards are referenced by others. The clearest signal of velocity is tracking how often external actors and competitors use your frameworks without your prompting or involvement. The architect's goal is a market where their standard is the baseline expectation for all participants. It moves from being a differentiator to a minimum requirement. True industry-wide change is measured by the cultural advancement that occurs while you are entirely silent. This has been Confidential Remarks.